I am back once again. I'm gonna edit my Halloween Ends video for the Michael Myers, but for Valentine's Day, I'm gonna do two things. Maybe three, but two things. I'm gonna watch My Bloody Valentine, the remake, but most importantly, I'm gonna review this guy, the NECA Ultimate My Bloody Valentine Ultimate Minor Action Figure, or also known as Harry Warden. I don't know why they couldn't just name it like that, but they did. So, here is the figure. Excuse this table, this will come in handy just a second. So here's the box. I haven't seen this poster for My Bloody Valentine. I'll probably put a picture up screen if this was the poster, but as you can see here, there it is. There's more than one way to lose your heart. And then the other side, My Bloody Valentine. Same on here. Same on the top, bottom, QR code and stuff like that. I did not know that this movie was owned by Paramount. And then we get the minor pictures and, of course, a read-up if you could read it right there. Pause to read it here. Includes a pickaxe, drill, knife, candy heart box, and interchangeable hands. I will talk about that later, but yeah, there's the figure right there. All nice and looks really good. And then we get an opening flap of the figure himself. I don't know what this looks like. It looks like just the mine. And then over here, a figure of the miner himself. So, that's the figure. Now, when I saw this figure for the first time during San Diego Comic-Con or Toy Fair, I was kind of low-key disappointed. But when I got this figure, I had some second thoughts. So, is this guy worth getting over the retro card release, which I don't have, but is this guy worth getting and worth adding to your collection? Well, I will discuss it right now. Starting off with the paint and the sculpt on this figure. Now, the painting and the sculpt on this figure is reused, but it's also really good. I will get the figures out in a second, but for comparison, but as you can plainly see, this uses the Halloween 2 body mold. Judging by, of course, the collar, the pockets on his chest, everything. But there are some newly sculpted parts, namely the gloves and the boots. And of course, the added add-ons like the belt, the mask and the helmet and stuff like that. So yeah, it's despite all that, and originally that's what kind of turned me off about this figure. I didn't know this guy wore a jumpsuit until I watched the movie and I figured out, oh wait, he does wear a jumpsuit. So I was like, yeah, there we go. And overall, the figure, start off with the head sculpt, it is very nicely well done. It just looks really nice, very spot on to the movie, and overall is very nicely sculpted with a nice belt and the helmet and everything else with the belt and the straps here. And what's also nice about this is that this wire, as you can see here, is actually a bendy wire. As you can plainly see, it is a bendy wire, which is really cool, yet I don't understand the purpose of it, but it's pretty cool. And there is a feature, which I'll show later, but overall, this figure looks really good. If I had to nitpick, I don't know if it's just this is how it is in the movie, but there's a huge gap, if you could see right there, between the mask and the breathing respirator. It just looks really weird. I never noticed that until the movie. And this is more of a QC issue of mine. When I got the figure, it has this, you can see, this part is glued because when I got it out of the box and removed his helmet, which you could do, this thing came off. It broke, so I had to glue it. Oh, whoops. So, yeah, besides all that, it's pretty good. Now, as I mentioned before, yes, you can remove this guy's helmet, although the mask is connected here to this little breathing respirator over there. And as you can see, you get Axel. I really hope I'm saying that right. But yes, you get Axel right here. But weirdly enough, he's wearing a balaclava. When he gets unmasked in the movie, his mouth isn't fully covered. So a little interesting, but neat feature they added. I didn't really feel like they needed to add this though, because there are a few problems with this helmet. For example, with this helmet, if you put it back on, there's more of a risk, and if I have to go off camera again, one thing I don't like is the helmet here is really loose fitting, and it feels like it could just come off with ease. So, and I wish it was just a sculpted in head, but maybe that allows for more movement. I don't know. But my main sort of nitpick I think I have is just that, was it the headlight? I think it's not even a headlight. It's like the light that miners have, but it's like, it just doesn't really look good. It's just a yellow with a white, like, splotch on it. Wouldn't have been much if this was just painted white and then there was just a plastic bit to give the effect that it is an actual light, because I don't feel like it works. But that isn't really the head sculpt overall. I think it's really good looking, really nicely sculpted, and really cool. I really like it a lot. And, the miner as a design is such an underrated slasher design. Like, it's actually low-key kind of creepy. Shame that this guy barely got enough love and only got, 2 films. Both this film, the original film, and the remake, which I will try and watch. So, yeah, it's not great, but he's not a bad, it's a really great design, very underrated design. He's one of my top 10, at least top 10 slashers at most. Moving on to the body, as we could see before, it is the same sculpt. The arms, same sculpt. The legs, same sculpt. The only thing that's sort of new is the torso. There is no blood, no bullet wounds like the Halloween 2 figure, which I will show later. There is no bullet wounds, no anything. It's just a brand new sculpt, which is nice. It's a bit of a reuse, but at the same time, also a new sculpt. The gloves, they're very nicely painted and very nicely sculpted too. I really like what I see here with the amount of dirt and grime with it. And just look at that. It looks really cool. Although maybe his hands are a bit oversized, at least this one. But honestly, I have no complaints with the hands. I think they look really nice. Really nicely painted and really nicely sculpted. Although they kind of hold the accessories a little bit loosely, so there's that. The belt also is very nicely detailed with a lot of cool detail within it. And best of all, this is a separate piece, so you don't have to worry about anything. You just probably have to pry it if with enough force, heat it up maybe if you want to do a custom, but I don't know what is there to customize with this guy. But overall, it's a really nice figure. You can see all the cool little things, like this respirator. Is this a respirator? I don't know what this is. And I don't know, I think this is the respirator. I don't know what this is, but it's really cool. And overall, I really like the figure. And then moving on to the boots, very nice and very grimy and dirty, which is really nice. And these are even newly sculpted. I think even more, this calf piece is brand new. This whole lower leg piece is brand new because this kind of tucks into the boots, which is really cool, which is, again, new sculpt. So yeah, just overall, I really love the paint. I really love the sculpt. The main highlight here is obviously the head. And overall, it's a very nice figure, with everything he has. It's very good, even though it's just reused at the same time. Now, moving on to the accessories, besides the gimmick that you can remove his helmet, you get, of course, his pickaxe, which no matter what pose you put it in, it looks badass. He looks like he's ready to murder someone. He actually looks threatening. with this thing. He looks so threatening. And the pickaxe is really nicely sculpted too. Nice denting and aged on the metal. And the wood overall is really nicely textured. But man, kind of funny as well that that during this time, since My Bloody Valentine came out in 1981, Jason's first appearance was in 1981 with Friday the 13th Part 2, and he was also holding a pickaxe. He wasn't wearing this, but he was holding a pickaxe. So ironic and kind of funny, but in general, this is such a cool weapon, and no matter what pose you put it in, it looks really good. The only gripe is maybe it leaves some kind of scuffs up the paint, if you could see right there. But otherwise, it's not bad. Now, moving on to the other accessories that he can hold. He has a nail gun, which can hold here. Pretty brutal, but at the same time, kind of loose. Let's try it with the other hand. Kind of fits on much better, but if you want to go for screen accuracy, I don't know if he used it on this hand, but I will admit it is pretty cool. Although I don't know why in the box they called it specifically a drill. This isn't a drill. In the movie, it's a nail gun. And then we move on to the knife, which in the movie, Axel tries to use this to kill, TJ, but he didn't really do much. But I don't know why. You have to like kind of force the fingers to grip in order for it to work. But as you can see, yeah, pretty big, pretty nicely sculpted. It also reminds me of Ghostface a little bit in some regard, even though the knife here doesn't look that sharp. It looks kind of dull looking. And then, of course, sort of the heart of it, the heart box, which if you open it, it's very nicely sculpted too. Very nice. Very nicely sculpted and painted very nicely. And then if you open it, there is a heart there. Pretty messed up, but that's the name of the movie. The movie is pretty brutal. So if you want to watch it, be warned, it is actually unexpectedly brutal. It is a fun time though, but yeah. So there you go. There's just the heart. Very nicely grotesque and very nicely sculpted with all the blood and everything. But now we move on to a bit of a problem. This guy has nothing. He has no, as I mentioned, he has a lot of weapons and some sort of diorama pieces. He has no alternate hands. According to the box, again, it says alternate hands, but as you saw before, there's no alternate hands. So, in reality, he doesn't come with any alternate hands, which is kind of a shame. If you want him to like kind of do a fisting, you guys like a fist hand or a gripping hand / like an open palm choking hand, similar to like the Michael Myers figure from Halloween 2018. That would have been kind of cool, but for now, he just has eternally gripping anything. It's just gripping hands. Not mad about it, just wished it was actually true, but I'm fine with the accessories we have. So, overall, I mean, the accessories, while light, I mean, it is what he had in the movie. They didn't even need to add the heart box of the literal heart, but they did, and I honestly really like it. So, with all that being said, let's talk about the figure's articulation. So, articulation for this guy is pretty much similar to that of the Halloween 2. Halloween Kills, Halloween 2018, Halloween Ends, yada, yada, yada. This is the same mold as them, and even down to these styled hips. They are not the ball-jointed hips that 2018, that Kills has. So, that might be a problem when it comes to posing. But if you've seen my reviews of the Halloween 2 figure, my Halloween 2018 Kills, and eventually the Halloween Ends figure, you would know exactly how this is. It's the same thing. I don't know if I really want to express it, but again, head articulation, up and down. Maybe a little bit limited now because of the newly sculpted head and, of course, the helmet, which maybe kind of limits it because of the tubes and stuff like that. As for other things, the ankles, they don't have that much move. They can't really kick that much up, but they have like the similar same range of movement as the 2018, as the Michael Myers figure. The elbows are fine. The hinge joints, he has hinge joints on the hands instead of whatever system the Michael Myers figure had. And yeah, he still has the same old hips, thigh swivel, and everything. Everything is still the same thing. The only problem maybe is the fact he can't go in and out. But if you already know how I felt about this mold, you already know how I feel about it now. It's a great mold. Is it overused? Yeah, but I think it for a good reason. And ultimately, it just, despite all that, you could get some really nice poses with this guy. So anyways, let's move on to the size comparisons. The Miner stands at a rough almost 8 inches. Barely 7, but if we're going on the top of his helmet, he is almost 8 inches per se. And as for comparisons, right now, here he is compared to a standard Marvel Legends figure. I don't know how big Harry Warden was in the movie, but I don't know if he's supposed to be this big, but it's fine. Moving forward, here he is compared to the Halloween Ends Michael Myers. Which, yeah, I'm gonna upload it, so there's that. There's that review of this guy. And of course, here he is with the Halloween Kills. I know it's a bit weird, but I'll discuss more later, because here is the Halloween 2 figure. And as I mentioned before, these guys have some weird things. The Halloween Kills figure has ball-jointed hips. Meanwhile, the Ends figure and the Halloween Ends figure, the Halloween 2 figure, both versions, like the Ultimate and the one with Dr. Loomis, this Ultimate Miner figure, and the Halloween 2018 figure all have this style of hips. I don't know why NECA's going back to this. It makes no sense. Back then, I thought it was kind of a good thing because when I got this figure, it was excruciatingly tight with those. But now I think it is a good option because it kind of is a little bit rigid. It still gets a good amount of posing, but it does feel rigid. But yeah, as you could clearly see, he scales really well. And if you want a quick comparison with the Halloween 2 figure, they are literally almost the same mold. Right down, like, they're almost the same. As you could see, there's more bullet wounds with Michael, to the shoulder, the chest, and even on the back. Whereas the Miner, on the other hand, there is nothing. There's none of that. No bullet wounds, no anything, even on the back. I think also their butt is like, their bum is also a little bit different. I don't know. But they are roughly the same mold. Like, they are the same mold, just slightly resculpted to give new, just to show it's a different figure. But not really a bad thing. Because, the Miner has a jumpsuit in the movie. So, now on to my final thoughts. Overall, I think this figure is really good. I had a very big reluctancy about this because, I didn't know it was the Halloween 2 figure. I didn't even know he wore a jumpsuit, but after watching the movie and then getting this figure, I can appreciate it. I know I said a lot of nitpicks about his helmet, like it being too loose, the strap breaking, and the light being less of a light and more like a smudge of paint. But that's kind of minor, and overall, despite all that, it looks amazing. He looks threatening in any pose he's in. He looks really good. And he's a very underrated slasher, you know? Like, and I'm going to go on a movie talk here. My Bloody Valentine is a very interesting movie. It's very gory, yes, but I think it's its benefit because it's really gory. The characters are also not bad. They actively tried to be interesting, but at the same time, you know, it still falls under the slasher trope. They're not the most interesting, but hey, these are more like, young adults than actual teenagers, so that's a change. And hey, I think the Miner or Harry Warden as a costume, as a design, is terrifying. You know, he could do some really, as a design, it's really underrated. It's terrifying in the concept of both the original and the remake. So, if you're a big fan of the figure, I suggest you get it. If you want to add more slashers and stuff like that on your shelf, I suggest you get this. Originally this guy was, a NECA Haulathon exclusive, but now is starting shipping into retail. So, you don't have to worry that much about this figure being a exclusive because nowadays it's pretty common. It's now becoming more in stock, and you can basically you can now officially buy it without any problems. Just don't go through eBay, and that's it. So yeah, overall, I give this guy a solid 8 out of 10. Really fun figure overall. It's really fun, and for a really cool movie, really interesting movie, and you know, for what you get here, it's not bad. I really like him. So, until then, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you all next time. Hopefully on another video. Maybe it'll be a movie review. Who knows? Till then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Once upon a time, on a sad Valentine, in a place known as NECA mine, a legend began. Every woman and man would always remember the time, and those who remained were never the same. You could see the fear in their eyes. Once every year, as the 14th draws near, there's a hush all over the town.